Welcome back to Hardball. President Trump spent the weekend in France, you notice, for events marking the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. And remembering those lost in war, of course. And yet, the president drew criticism for several instances of bad, well, let's call them optics. On Saturday, Trump canceled a planned visit to an American cemetery due to rain. And on Sunday, Trump was conspicuously absent as his fellow world leaders marched in solidarity down the Champs-Élysées. There they are. For an Armistice Day ceremony. It's very impressive. Before showing up separately at the conclusion of the march at the Arc de Triomphe. That's at the head of the street. In his own remarks, French President Emmanuel Macron issued a stern warning about the dangers of nationalism, a label President Trump recently embraced with open arms.
Patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. Nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism by saying, our interests first, who cares about the others? We erase what a nation holds dearest, what gives it life, what makes it great, and what is essential, its moral values.
A beautiful country. I'm joined by the Hardball Roundtable by Omarosa, Marigold, Newman, former White House staffer, of course. Eli Stokols, White House reporter for the Los Angeles Times, and Kimberly Atkins, Washington Bureau Chief for the Boston Herald. What a weekend. It's all about optics, and it didn't look good. Is this just a bad streak of luck that started last Tuesday for this guy?
You know, I just came back from Europe. I was in London, and he truly just embarrassed our nation on the world stage. He had an opportunity to really bring the allies together, and in a true Trump fashion, he just squandered it.
You know, Eli, this wasn't as bad as Bitburg, but it was sort of like it. It was like, why blow what is basically a visual?
Yeah, this is not a really high degree of difficulty for a presidential foreign trip. This summer he had a NATO meeting, he had a bilat with Theresa May and the Putin thing. This is photo ops, and you know what photo? We saw the president, we saw him giving the thumbs up to Vladimir Putin when he showed up. You're seeing it when the president actually showed up to that event. You didn't see him walking with all the other leaders as you showed down the Champs-Élysées. And the message that it was sent by not finding a way. Yes, the Marine One couldn't fly in the weather. The weather was a reason, but they didn't have a backup plan. And there was certainly not a president who said to his staff, you find me a way to get to this cemetery, because that's an important statement for a U.S. president to make.
I think Reagan would have made it.
Yeah.
I think Obama would have made it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But this is a continuation of what we've seen President Trump do on every one of these trips abroad. He goes, he picks fights with U.S. allies. The only time he seemed happy at all was when he got that glimpse of Vladimir Putin. I mean, this is the same.
What is that? What's his tail wagging for?
It's consistent from what he's done since the beginning of the campaign, and that's why we increasingly see our allies, whether it's Macron or Theresa May or Angela Merkel, saying United States is not, we can't rely on them.
Look at that picture, guys. Look at that picture, because I think that's what most presidents, tall or short, whatever they are, Republican or Democrat, have admitted we're part of the world.
Yes.
And they may think we're an exceptional country, which I think we are in many ways, but they still were willing to walk with the other national leaders. Trump, I think, Eli, didn't want to be seen in a group.
He doesn't like the group shot. You remember the last group shot a couple years ago when he showed up and he pushed another leader out of the way so he'd get to the front of the line?
Yeah.
I mean,
the guy
this is
from
the president likes being on the stage
the
at
poor little
rallies.
Montenegro gets shoved it out of the way.
He wants the spotlight on him.
Well, meanwhile, we can argue, this is my favorite conversation because I came up with this fight. Here we are. Former First Lady, of course, Michelle Obama's new memoir, great title, Becoming. Hits bookstores tomorrow. The former First Lady's book tour also kicks off tomorrow with a sold-out first stop moderated by Oprah Winfrey at Chicago's United Center. That's where all the convention was held there. Anyway, that's unusually used for concerts and sporting events and Democratic conventions. Well, the rock star rollout for Mrs. Obama is reminiscent of public reaction to another famous First Lady, I think, Jacqueline Kennedy. In an interview with ABC News 2020, Ms. Obama said she was excited and nervous about what lies ahead.
I'm excited and anxious to, see what people get from it. I'm hoping that it generates a conversation.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Young people are the future. And if my story, my journey somehow gives them hope, if I played a role in that for some young people coming down the line, then I'll feel good about it.
I get the feeling she's going to be a world figure.
Absolutely.
But I think she's going to blossom like from the caterpillar. She was very careful in the White House, as we know, to being the butterfly. Bigger, more global, bigger. Not as fashion plate like Jackie Lewis. She always dresses beautifully, but I think she's going to be a figure. Without her, Mandela's gone. Bill Clinton sort of faded a bit. I'll hear about that later. But he's faded a bit. I think we need a world presence. I think her husband's going to give her the space for the next couple months to show her stuff.
And she has the goods. She has a platform. She is very, very connected to women's issues around the globe. And people like her. Her approval ratings have always been so much higher than others, but particularly higher than the current president.
Yeah, I think she's been a butterfly for a while. I mean, one of the most electrifying moments, for example, at the DNC was when she gave her speech. That was the moment she upstaged Hillary Clinton a little bit. She is somebody who has, she's different from Jackie Kennedy in that she is free to say things about President Trump. She is free talking about her family. She has her own goods. You know, like Omarosa said, she's Harvard and Princeton educated, but she's also beloved by, particularly in the black community, but she was also derided. I mean, she's had horrible things said about her as well. So she has her own story that I think does connect with a lot of people. So a lot of people still don't like her, but a lot of people love her.
Timing's everything.
Well,
she's coming out of 8 years as First Lady. The people that feared her maybe aren't afraid of her as much, but because of her formidability. But
well, I think back to the Obama administration, and even when in the second term the president had lost popularity, he was out there in 2014. She was the draw on the campaign trail. She never lost popularity. She was someone who was widely popular across the country. And now, you know, after, as you do when you leave office, you step back a little bit. It's been almost 2 years, and so I think, you know, the public's probably ready to hear from Michelle Obama again.
Well, she's a strong person. Anyway, the roundtable's sticking with us. Up next, these three will tell me something I don't know. Here, what's the hard one?